Nerdy is defined as someone characterized by an obsessive interest in something. Xbox, Marvel, technology, D&D, Lord of the Rings, escape rooms, Pokemon, Funko Pop, Star Wars, PlayStation, comic books, Magic the Gathering, Nintendo, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. All of that is Tech D Rob, host of the Nerd News Podcast, your source for everything nerdy.
I realize you guys are all nerds.
And this is the Nerd News Podcast.
Welcome to the Nerd News Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Tech D Rob. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and a new one, Threads. If you have heard about Threads, it's an Instagram thing. So you go to my Instagram, TechD_Rob. There's a little link there you can click to take you to the Threads. And if you're not already signed up for Threads, it'll take you through that. But it's a new app from Instagram, Facebook, Meta, the company, whatever you want to call it. But I'm on there. So give me a follow there if you would like. But more importantly, Instagram, Twitter, I use those more often than I'm going to use Threads. Most likely. This is a slow week for the Nerd News Podcast. I don't have too terribly much to talk about, but we will talk about the things that I do have to talk about after we get through the quick hits. So Bug Snacks is a game that was like a PlayStation 5 type launch game. I think you could get it for free potentially from the PlayStation Plus. And it's now coming to iOS, and that is, of course, on Wednesday happening. Also, Wednesday, Lost in Play is coming out for iOS and Android, and whatever Mordhau is coming to PlayStation and Xbox current and next gen. And then Oxenfree 2, The Lost Signals, is also coming to those same platforms. Oh, no, I'm sorry. PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, PC, Mac, iOS, and Android. So everything but Xbox is what Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals is coming to. I've played Oxenfree 1. It's an interesting game, but I never finished it. Gravity Circuit is coming to PlayStation, current and next gen, Switch, and PC. Exo Primal is coming to current and next gen Xbox and PC, current and next gen Xbox, PlayStation, and of course PC, and that's on Friday. On DVD this week, there's a lot of new titles. Scream 6, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Book Club, The Next Chapter. Beau is Afraid, and the movie I do want to see on this list, Sisu, which is kind of like a John Wick type thing, but with during the World War II era. Digitally this week, Transformers Rise of the Beasts is available for you. If you listen to the Nerd News Podcast for any length of time, well, not any length of time, but it would be specifically a couple weeks ago. I saw it in theaters and I gave a brief review, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't a terrible game. I liked it a lot game. It wasn't a terrible movie. It was a nice breath of fresh air into a somewhat stale movie franchise. I guess Bumblebee was the most recent one before that, and Bumblebee was pretty good. So they're just going to continue with that storyline. I wonder if they're going to just completely forego the Michael Bay movies in the timeline for this. I'd be interested to see that. In theaters this weekend is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I plan to see that. I plan to see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny sometime soon. And I also plan to see Insidious: The Red Door. And I also want to see The Blackening. It looked like a pretty good horror movie, and it looked pretty funny as well. So that is the quick hits for this week on the Nerd News Podcast. Again, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, TechD_Rob on all of those platforms, along with Threads. Now also on Threads. So we'll take a quick break, and then when we return, we'll do a short segment on the Nerd News Podcast.
At TechD_Rob on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. More Nerd News Podcast next. Follow TechD_Rob on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. At TechD_Rob. This is the Nerd News Podcast.
Welcome back to the Nerd News Podcast. I'm your host, Tech D Rob, and if you look, you'll notice my hair significantly shorter than the last time. And you'll also notice that I am balding pretty good up here. It might be the last of the hair that I have left. I maybe shouldn't have cut it all off, because who knows if it's going to grow back. I did this during the vacation week, and you can see it's growing back here just fine. But all over here, not so much. So it may be time for me to just get that, just go be skull shaving the whole time. Get one of those handheld ones you can do it yourself. But I did it because it's hot outside. It's like really, really hot. And I went to Charleston over the Ace and TJ vacation, and it's really, really hot there. I wouldn't say significantly more hot than it is here, but it is a good bit hotter. And it was rough, but it was fun. I went to see Eric Church, had a nice beach day while I was there. And then we came home on a Friday. Didn't stay the weekend, because that's when it's really busy at the beach. So I don't like to be there when people are going to be there, to be honest with you. Okay, so the nerd news stuff for the day. We have Deadpool 3 in production. There have been people have said they've seen Ben Affleck on the sets, potentially as his Daredevil role. Could be like a multiverse thing. Like they're gonna. Some people believe they may be killing off the rest of the Fox universe to integrate them into the MCU. Well, interesting to see how that goes. Of course, you've heard. Hugh Jackman is reprising his role as Wolverine, but just today, when I'm recording this on a Monday, there was a production image shared by Ryan Reynolds that shows Wolverine in a classic yellow outfit. So if you watch the '90s X-Men cartoon, that's basically what Wolverine wore in that cartoon, and it was. I'll put a picture. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put a picture beside my head of what the current thing looks like, and I'll put it side by side with what it looked like on the '90s cartoon, which is also coming back, X-Men '90s or whatever they're calling it. That's coming soon, and I'm very excited about that. Also, word is that Elektra, Jennifer Garner, is going to be reprising her role from the Deadpool movie and her own movie. Not Deadpool movie, Daredevil movie, and potentially some other people from the Fox universe. So we'll see how that goes. EA announced that one of their studios, I don't remember the name of the studio, but is making a Black Panther third-person single-player game, much akin to the Spider-Man situation, but with EA involved. If you recall, there is a Wolverine game in the making from the people who made the Spider-Man game. This is a completely different company making this one, but capitalizing, of course, on the Marvel craze, I guess, that's sweeping the nation. And on the other side of comic books, there is a game called DC Dual Force. If you've listened to this podcast before, recently, I said that I was going to be doing some of the beta testing over a certain week. That's what happens when you do a beta. It was not inevitable, but it happens. So what the situation is now is that I have some codes for that game, DC Dual Force. If you would like to get in on this closed beta, I have some codes I can share with you. I don't know exactly how long this closed beta is going to be going on, but I will be playing it from time to time until the open beta starts, and we'll see just how that's going to go. But it looks to me to be less of a money sink than the Marvel Snap game is, because Marvel Snap is the biggest money sink game I've ever played in my life, and I'm no longer playing it. You can't do anything without putting some money into the game, and it's very frustrating. I'm just completely done with that game, to be honest with you. It's a fun game, but they've ruined it by the microtransactions that are required to stay competitive in the game. DC Dual Force, I don't know the economy of this game just yet, but I do know so far it looks to be significantly better economy-wise, much more akin to a Hearthstone type game. Simply put, because the decks are 40 cards, which means there's a lot more cards to be needed, and the acquiring of them should be a lot easier than it is in Marvel Snaps. And Marvel Snap is only a 12-card deck. So every card that you get is far more significant than every card you would get in a game that uses a 40-card deck. I don't know pull rates or anything yet. I'm working on getting some more information about that. I sent an email last night when I was preparing for this podcast to my contact with the game, who gave me these beta codes to give away, to try and get some more information on how long this is going to be going on, when the open beta might start. But I look forward to giving you more information about the game. It's a lot of fun. DC Dual Force. If you would like a code from me, just send me a message on Twitter, Instagram, Just keep it to Twitter and Instagram, please, because those are the ones I check most often for messages. But if you'd like a beta code, I can give you the web address to go download the game, and I can give you a beta code so you can get in on this beta, and it's a lot of fun. The gist of the game is there are 2 rows of characters. Your back row of characters, there is 2 leaders, and that's why it's called Dual Force, and they're your big names. They're your Batmans, your Green Arrows, Shazam's one, Black Adam, Lex Luthor, Superman, etc. So those are your back 2 players, or your back 2 of your 6 character grid. I think I don't think they probably have a better terminology than I'm using, but it's a 6 character grid. Your back 2 on the left and the right are your leaders, so to speak, and they have health varying on how strong they are. Like, so for example, Batman's a 19, Superman is around 20, 21, I think, somewhere higher. And they range in that 20 HP, give or take 3 to 4 on either side, I believe. But their power level is also based on how good their abilities are going to be. So that's it, and it is like Hearthstone in the sense that every character can attack every character, but your front row kind of protects your back row, and there are creatures that can attack over your front row. And there's just a whole bunch of different keywords that it takes you through a tutorial that teaches you the game pretty well. So if you're interested in playing this, giving it a shot, just send me a message. I'll tell you where to go to download the game, PC only. I'll tell you where to go to download the game and where to get I'll give you the beta code. I have a list of them that I can hand out. But look for more information about this game from me very, very soon. So, now that that's out of the way, and that they're not paying me to do this, is not an ad. I really truly enjoy the game, and I'm grateful that I can bring you some beta codes if you really want to play the game, because I really do think it's a great card game. So far, we'll see. I mean, Batman's a little busted, but we'll see how that goes. This week marks Prime Days, so you may already be aware. If you listen to this on Tuesday, it's the start of Prime Days into tomorrow. But also, every other retailer is doing a similar thing. Walmart has Walmart Plus Week. So if you have Walmart Plus, you get access to early deals. Target Circle, it's Target Circle Week, which is Target's free coupon app. It's built into the Target app. You can clip coupons per se, and you can get those discounts. But there's even extra discounts to the normal weekly Target Circle discounts this week for Target Circle Week. And of course, wouldn't be complete without Best Buy's Christmas and July sales. Lots of good deals all over the place. If you're really, really looking for something from these places, look at all 4, because you never know which ones are going to have all the good sales. I've seen Target Circle had certain Mario games for $30 off, which Nintendo games never go on sale. So if you're missing these Mario games, it would be a good idea to check that out. Baldurs Gate 3 is a game that is coming out very, very soon for PC, but unfortunately not very soon for PlayStation 5. I was going to get this game on my MacBook, but the problem is that, let me see, because I cannot remember when the release is. Okay, so August 3rd is when it comes out for PC and Mac on the Steam store. And I'm going to have to get it on PlayStation 5 on September 6th. And I'll tell you why. It is because I was unable to run the it's in early access on Steam, and I downloaded it for the Mac, and it just doesn't run very well on I have a MacBook Pro from 2 years ago. It's a pretty great machine for video editing and all these other kinds of stuff, but I guess maybe not gaming. So that being said, I refunded my purchase on Steam, and I'll just get it on PlayStation. I'll just have to wait another month. It's fine. I do really want to play the game, though. It looks incredibly fun. Very similar to it is the most Dungeons & Dragons 5e based video game that I've seen. 5e, of course, being the current implementation of the Dungeons & Dragons rule set, and monster manual, DM, Dungeon Master's Guide, all those kinds of things. This is the most current iteration of the D&D rules. There are older games like this that incorporate the older D&D rules, but D&D 5e, there's this one and another one that I saw on a list somewhere that said if you're waiting for Baldurs Gate 3, this is a good game to get. What was that called? Xbox? I looked for it on Xbox. It's called Solasta Crown of the Magister, I think. Is that the right one? It's free on Game Pass? Yeah, so it's free on Game Pass, or you can buy it for $28. But with Game Pass, there's no telling when it's going to disappear from the Game Pass. So yeah, well, you never know. But Solasta Crown of the Magister also uses 5e rules. So if that's something you're into, which I didn't know it was available until today. So I'm going to go home after this podcast and download it because I want to play it. Seems cool. What is next on the Nerd News Podcast? I've already talked about Threads. It is, again, it's a meta company. You can register with your Instagram, but once you sign up for it, to delete your profile from Threads completely, you can hide it if you really want to, but if you want to delete it, you would have to delete your Instagram profile. So I don't necessarily know that it's a problem that's happening, but, you know, hold on a second. The computer in this room is not playing something, so I'm just going to fix that. There it goes. I don't know that it's a real problem with anything, simply because you can just hide your profile and nobody will be able to find it from there. But some people don't like it. It's the thing. Everything's connected like this. It's just how it works. So yeah, August 3rd, the Mario movie is making its way to Peacock. Also on Peacock, I just watched the new Kevin Hart stand-up special. I enjoyed it. Very funny. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is Secret Invasion on Disney+. Now, when was the last Marvel show? Was it Miss Marvel? No, it was She-Hulk, right? So She-Hulk kind of killed the hype for these Marvel TV shows. I didn't hate She-Hulk. I really loved Miss Marvel. She-Hulk wasn't great. And I think that it has killed the hype for Marvel stuff. Well, also this, not just that, the Marvel hype has been killed in general by a string of not great movies. So Quantumania, Ant-Man, not great. It has been revived for me in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is incredible. Such a fun movie. Once that comes to Disney Plus, I'll probably watch it a couple more times at home. It's so good. It's incredible. You should really see it if you have not. But Secret Invasion on Disney Plus, there's nobody talking about it. Like Screen Crush is a YouTube channel I follow. And that is doing like teasers of what they expect's going on, but they're going to do that for pretty much everything like this. But I don't see much discussion like in my friend groups, in my my Discords that I'm a part of, on IGN specifically. Kotaku, not really talking about it. They're just not. And I don't know if it's superhero fatigue, but I do know that it's just not being talked about. Now, is it a good show? I enjoy it. Very reminiscent of the Captain America type movies. It's a very serious movie, very serious show. Nothing funny about this one. It's distinctly different than She-Hulk was, and it's quite obvious how much different it is. And I enjoy it. It's halfway through. I'll give more thoughts once it's finished. But I expect the next 3 weeks to be pretty packed with information because things are going down. And we'll see in the next 3 weeks exactly what those things are. So that is the Nerd News Podcast for today, July 11th. I apologize for not having more, but I actually talked longer than I expected to. I think it's just that I like to talk sometimes, and I can find something to talk about. But anyway, I appreciate you joining me for the Nerd News Podcast. And again, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Threads now as well, if you really, really want to. But it is TechD_Rob on all of those platforms, and I will see you next week.
That's it for this week's Nerd News Podcast. Follow TechD_Rob on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at TechD_Rob. Subscribe now. More nerd news next week.